Hi, my name is Rose and I'll be telling you some personal stories today. I've had several friends in the past experience various degrees of anxiety and depression. The way it affected the relationships with people around them varied as well. I want to thank them for making themselves vulnerable as they recounted difficult times in their lives. In telling their stories, I've changed their names to protect their privacy. The first story is about my friend Ashley, who is in her early 20s. Everyone reacts differently to anxiety and depression. Some isolate themselves and others depend heavily on their loved ones. Ashley told her close friends what she was going through, and we supported her by being there for her when she felt alone. Even as her friends, we could only do so much to help her through it. First, I'll share Ashley's story. She doesn't like talking about this time in her life, so part of it will be from what I can remember about her situation. Ashley's anxiety and depression started when she had a breakdown in 2012. From there, her worries turned into fear and insecurity. She was scared to meet new people and didn't want to be socially active. Things would always be worse at night because she would lay awake, unable to sleep. This only gave her more time to think, which eventually caused her severe anxiety. From what I remember, there were several times where she called me in the middle of the night, sounding upset, and asked if I could come over. I would just leave a note for my parents saying I was spending the night, and I would immediately drive over to keep her company, because she didn't want to be alone. It really is hard to see your friend, someone you love, going through this because you may not always know what you can do to help. I try to encourage her, uplift her by praying with her. There was something she said to me that I'll never forget. This is from memory, so not an exact quote, but something to the effect of, "I know what you say is true, that I'm loved, and people would miss me if I was gone, but it didn't stick in my mind." It was like there's nothing I could say to convince her that her being here was worthwhile. Eventually, she saw a doctor and was prescribed medicine, and I do believe that's how she coped. She deals with anxiety and depression still, but she has mild moments here and there. Now onto my second friend. I've been friends with Jasmine since 5th grade, so for about 10 years. She's now 21 years old, so I've known her for a long time. Yet I didn't know about her anxiety and depression until recently. This is her story. It was mild during elementary school years, and then became worse starting in middle school. She knew she had a problem around the years 12 or 13. She experienced really bad social anxiety. She didn't want to get to know these people, as in her schoolmates. She felt anxious to branch out because she thought she was weird and wasn't good enough for people. Also, she believed that by moving around a lot when she was younger was another leading cause to her feeling anxiety to meeting new people. In a way, everything stems from the worry of her appearance. Growing up, she didn't have the right clothes or the right look to be popular. So she felt bitter since she couldn't have the image she really wanted. She started self-harm since that was the only thing she could control. She felt tired all the time and didn't want to socialize. She knew that hurting herself was not the way to go, but she didn't care. On top of feeling unable to relate and connect with other people, what made her state worsen was the destruction of her self-image. She was made fun of because of her weight and early development. As a way of acting out, she got in with the wrong crowd and had this mentality thinking, since these kids are garbage, then so am I. She hung out with these girls in middle school and they tore her down by saying things like, "You're annoying and you're fat," and other things that real friends would never say. She knew they were bad news and weren't true friends, yet still wanted to hang out with them. Today she says she still doesn't know why she did that to herself. She felt lonely and felt like she didn't have anyone to talk to, so she just wanted friends. Even if they were mean, she just wanted someone there. She was not only targeted by girls, but by boys also. She did mature faster than other girls and felt super self-conscious about her body. Boys, of course, would notice and give her negative attention, essentially bullying her. People calling her fat was what caused her to start down the road of self-harm. First, it was binge eating. She was a stress eater, and her thoughts were, if I gain any more weight, then no one will like me. first year of high school, she continued having bad experiences of interacting with other schoolmates. This guy she liked, Luke, had told Jasmine's friend what he really thought about Jasmine. He had said he would never like a fat girl like her, which tore down her self-esteem down further. Back in middle school, she was stuck in a cycle of cruelty. She had low self-esteem, and other people took advantage of that and were cruel to her, and as an effect, she was mean to those around her that truly cared about her. Her reasoning for acting that way and shutting people out was that since people were telling her these awful things, then why would she let someone in if they would do that same thing to her? In more recent years of high school and in college, she still struggled with anxiety and depression. She was caught in between wanting to go out and wanting to stay home because of her anxiety, and then would feel depressed by being alone. At times, she has panic attacks. She thought she wasn't good enough, so she wouldn't let other people love her if she didn't love herself. Her anxiety and depression has affected her close relationships, like the relationship with her parents. So her parents had no idea as growing up of what she was going through, since Jasmine had shut them out. Her parents were completely shocked when she told them last year that she needed help. Until now, her parents didn't understand her behavior, and then when she received punishments like telling her to go to her room, being alone made the situation worse. As a result of shutting out her parents, has made communicating with them hard, and the relationship can feel strained at times because of their miscommunications. She never told her siblings about her problems because she didn't want to talk with her siblings at all. She has one older sister and 2 younger brothers. Her brothers would have been too young to really understand what was happening, so she didn't consider telling them. From previous experiences, Jasmine knew that if she did talk to Sarah, her older sister, then Sarah would go to her mom, and Jasmine didn't want that. So the relationship between her siblings has been affected by her anxiety and depression. Towards the end of high school, she had this boyfriend, Matthew, who had his own problems as well. He was depressed and had low self-worth. In the end, the relationship didn't work out because they both needed help and ended up holding each other back in the things they really wanted to do, and as a result, couldn't make each other happy. Her boyfriend now, Mark, is healthier for her and good to her. Mark is much different from Matthew because he loves himself, feels good about who he is, and cares for other people. He gives her confidence and makes sure she feels comfortable for whatever they're going to do when it's something new. He talks her through it and makes her feel safe. At times, the relationship is affected by her anxiousness, and because of her self-conscious, she is self-conscious of herself, that when he goes out with other friends, she psychs herself out thinking that he'll meet prettier girls, which can cause some conflict when she has worries like these, but they're working through it together. Jasmine told a group of friends and I recently of all she's been through when she decided to get help about over a year ago. I can say we were all shocked that she essentially went through all this by herself and didn't tell us. But she said she didn't want to worry us. From there, we were aware of what was really going on and were supported in our own ways. She got help when she was about 19 years old. She went to her doctor and they put her on medication to help her, and for a time period that was how she coped. When she lost a lot of her weight in a healthy way, she began to feel comfortable in her own skin and decided to stop taking the medication. She realizes she has friendships and relationships to help her up instead of tear her down. Her boyfriend Mark has been a big help with encouraging her to try new things, take a hold of opportunities, and by loving her. Currently, she's now trying to balance school and work. She knows as a young adult that you have to go through good and bad times, and she knows that her anxiety and depression will make some situations bad, but she also knows that she'll rise up from it and continue to live her life. Here's some advice that she would give to other people who may feel through the same things that she went through. So, you are beautiful the way you are, but the image of who you want to be can't always be the reality. You just have to get comfortable with the idea of who you are. your appearance, your personality, and those qualities. And overcome the idea that not everything is about you and that not everyone in the world is all looking at you. Therefore, you shouldn't need to feel the urge to impress other people to try to be someone that you're not. Just be you. Now for my third story, it's about my friend Cassandra. We've been friends for about 10 years. We met in 5th grade. She's 21 years old and has been pretty open with me about what she's been going through. As a friend, I listened to her and showed her that I care. This is her story. Cassandra is still dealing with anxiety and depression, but it's not as bad as it once was. She has her moments every once in a while, but it's rare. It's random small things that trigger her, what may seem insignificant to some, yet she breaks down sometimes. For her, it all started in September of 2014, in her first week at Texas A&M. Here are some exact words she had for that experience there. After a week of school, I decided that this campus wasn't for me. I was not used to being far from home anyways, so I did get a little homesick. I decided to withdraw from the university because I did not want to major in science after all, and I refused to pay so much money for basic classes when I didn't know what I wanted to major in. The first wave of anxiety I felt was being so unsure of myself. I normally have everything planned out, so the obscurity of my future freaked me out. When she started classes last fall at community college, getting back into routine was stressful. Taking a year off of school was difficult. It was hard getting back into the habit of going to school. And when procrastination would take over, it was hard to get work done. She would cry at least once in a while. At the same time starting school, she started a new job at Costco. She hated her job in the food court. The job was frustrating because it was so chaotic. There were many things that needed to be done quickly and she couldn't keep up. She felt discouraged because she had usually been good at everything and was proud of that fact. But when working in the kitchen, she said she had to face the fact that she wasn't the best. And it didn't help that some of her coworkers were not very patient with her. The manager was nice, but Cassandra thought that they had unrealistic expectations. One night she had to clean the patio area and it took 40 minutes. They said once you get used to it, it would take about 10 minutes. There was too many tasks to do and she did not see how it was manageable to do in that amount of time. Regardless, she tried her best. A coworker once told her, "Can you please hurry up?" And she knew right then that she didn't want to continue working there. She tried her best, but what people were saying essentially was that her effort was not enough. She had cried that night because of that situation. Thinking about it, she said that the pay was good, but she didn't want to suffer emotionally for it. On top of work, dealing with school had been especially difficult. She spent the whole spring semester paying off of her school debt, and which only contributed to her stress further because she had to wait another semester to pay it off before going back to school. Being out of school for so long is what stressed her out. Since she was working full-time every day, she would come home after work and just relax. When she went back to school, that freedom was being taken away from her and she became a slave to the school system again. She took 2 classes last fall and 4 earlier this spring and said that she would cry every once in a while because she couldn't bring herself to do the homework. She felt weak, mentally broken down, and horrible about herself. Naturally, this only further lowered her self-esteem. Not being able to overcome the challenge of getting back into the pattern of going to school was depressing her. She was not suicidal, but did have thoughts of dying. She said she would not actually harm herself since it would hurt way too much, but she wished she could die and not live through this life anymore. It would have had to been unexpected. She would have wanted a quick death. She wasn't looking for it, but if it came at the time, she would have not minded. This didn't affect her relationship with her parents so much because in the first place she didn't like talking to her parents about her feelings. She always hated crying in front of her parents because they were very critical of her and she didn't like showing them weakness. Earlier this year, she told her parents what she was going through. They didn't do anything major, but told her that this is serious and to never be alone if she was feeling that way. Excuse me. Her relationship with her boyfriend, Tyler, was what was affected most. He didn't know what to do. His first reaction was to try to comfort her, but when that didn't help, he ended up ignoring her crying because she was having breakdowns so often. Sometimes he would yell and ask her why she was crying. Cassandra felt like she was not getting adequate emotional support from him, and she told me that at the time, I thought he was a piece of crap. He shouldn't have gotten angry at me for being sad. He's not a patient person, so it was a rocky time for our relationship. She looked online for answers and said that her Google searches did help. She looked up other people who were going through the same thing, trying to see if there was ways to help. She reached out to her doctor, who referred her to medication, but she preferred a more natural solution. Also, her insurance didn't cover a therapist or a psychologist, so she ended up fighting it through her own abilities. Cassandra felt that it was not a long-term depression, but was short-lived. She doesn't struggle with depression anymore, but now anxiety is the bigger problem. She got used to her workload at school, and the longer she stayed in school, the more she wanted to get good grades. If she didn't want to do something like an assignment, for example, Cassandra would calculate what she would have to get in the class if she did not do well in the assignment. If the overall grade was not good enough, she would make sure to finish the assignment because she was determined to get good grades in her classes. She was always proud of how well she did in school. Her self-esteem tied in with her academic life. It became a part of her. From there, she had to get past the thinking that she was more than just her grades. When asked if she had any advice to give, Cassandra said, "It does get better, but it's not going to be easy. Not everyone can do it the way I did. If you feel it's really bad, there's no shame in taking medication." She wanted to see what other options she had first, but she said it was important to her that she was able to overcome it with sheer willpower. Thank you for taking your time to watch this video. In the upcoming videos, there will be more personal stories to be told. Thanks.